Coming up on Network Africa, South Africa's former president, Kgalema Molefe, cast doubt on the future of the ANC with President Jacob Zuma at the helm. At least 30 football fans die at a viewing center in Calabar, Cross River State, after being electrocuted by a high-tension cable. And Cameroon's English-speaking regions have their internet restored. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Temitope Fagbemi. We begin today's program in West Africa, where there's been an exchange of gunfire in the Gambian town of Kanilai, the birthplace of former President Yahya Jammeh. Reports say soldiers from the mission of the West African regional group in ECOWAS and the Gambian military fired at each other. At least 2 Gambian soldiers were injured. The ECOWAS soldiers went to Kanilai to search Mr. Jammeh's house for weapons that are allegedly being hidden there. The ECOWAS mission is in the Gambia to help restore security in the country. Mr. Jammeh, in the meantime, is now living in exile in Equatorial Guinea after leaving the country that he ruled for 22 years. In other news, South Africa's former president, Kgalema Molefe, has warned the ruling African National Congress that his vote for the party cannot be taken as a given come elections in 2019. Mr. Molefe, who briefly served as president and was once President Jacob Zuma's deputy, revealed that he tried to persuade the leader to step down more than 1 year ago. He also derided what he said was a cavalier attitude of some ministers towards the economy. Mr. Molefe is one of the most senior figures to cast doubt on the future of the ANC, with Mr. Zuma, who was once a close ally, at the top. The embattled president faces a vote of no confidence in Parliament next month, and opposition to him appears to be hardening, although he still enjoys strong support in the rural areas. It is no longer news that Nigeria's northeast region is in dire need of global assistance to overcome the devastation of insurgency witnessed in the last couple of years. As part of the efforts in tackling this challenge, international humanitarian organization Oxfam is calling on the global community for urgent support, while asking the federal government to do more to give every region a sense of belonging. The executive director of Oxfam International, Mrs. Winnie Yanyima, said this in an exclusive interview with our correspondent Runke Raji at the sidelines of the World Bank IMF spring meetings in Washington, D.C.
The military is making progress on claiming back some towns, but the situation is that people are only safe in the towns the military is controlling. They are restricted. They can't even move several kilometers outside to farm. So the hunger is severe. They are depending on food aid, and I was calling on the international community to deliver more food aid, because the people in the areas that are still inaccessible are probably starving because we don't even know their situation. And there's a lot of movement. When the military takes over an area, then people start coming there because it's safe. Others are coming from Cameroon. I met women who had just arrived and some who had been there for 3 months, the ones who had not even yet received a tent, who were sleeping in the open. So there's need for humanitarian assistance to come urgently. Nigeria cannot cope with this alone. The international community should support. But ultimately, the Nigerian government, which is a rich government, needs to put in long-term solutions to the conflict, end the conflict, and to develop the area.
Here in Nigeria, the Office of the National Security Advisor to the President, in collaboration with the Yobe State government, are brainstorming on issues bordering insurgency and other ways of countering the menace in the northeast geopolitical zone of the country. Declaring the session opened in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital, Governor Ibrahim Gaidam says securing the lives and property of the people is every man's business. He also called for effective collaboration in waging war against terrorism in the state and the country as a whole.
Stakeholders were drawn from various security agencies, traditional and community leaders, vigilante groups, amongst other well-meaning participants. They will brainstorm on the threat to national security, the security architecture of the zone, amongst other ways of finding sustainable peace in the northeast and the country. Addressing the gathering, Governor Ibrahim Gaidam appeals to the federal government through the Office of the Special Advisor to intensify the mopping up of the remnant of Boko Haram terrorists.
A workshop of this nature will enable the participants to exchange ideas and arrive at palliative solutions on security issues unique to our zone and take appropriate steps to arrest the threat to life and property. It will equally avail us the opportunity of realizing the need for us all to work together collectively towards eliminating the menace of the men of the underworld and miscreants.
The National Security Advisor, whose address was read by the head of the Counter-Terrorism Office, Al-Hassan Husseini, praises the Yobe State government in the rebuilding process and calls for effective collaboration between security forces and the civil populace in fighting insecurity.
We must all realize that to defeat the terrorists or manage acts of terrorism in the country must be steps ahead of the terrorists. To be steps ahead of the terrorists, all government of national power and authority must be activated and channeled adequately. The ONSA expects very good cooperation and contribution from all MDS, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, and so on.
The Secretary to the Yobe State government says the workshop is timely and will address key issues in the fight against terrorism and work out ways in the rebuilding of the war-devastated areas.
The capacity to ensure survival remains the most important political obligation of all human beings, since it is certainly not possible to engage in any activity unless the safety of life is assured.
Participants were drawn from all of the 6 states that made up the northeast geopolitical zone of the country.
For being here in person.